Cum e să faci agricultură fiind un mic antreprenor care întâmpină o groază de provocări?
Datorită programului IFAD, au obținut un produs de calitate mai înalt, cu venituri mai mari.
Orice afacere în domeniul agriculturii are nevoie de un sistem de irigare.
Am ales să rămân acasă ca să dezvolt aici o afacere.
Acum avem mai multe motive să ne bucurăm de rezultate.
Contribuim la progresul comunității și dezvoltarea afacerilor locale.
Proiectele IFAD, mereu alături de mici agricultori, tineri și femei.
Doamnelor și doamnelor, onorată asistent.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished audience, from the very beginning I would like to tell you that it is a great honor to see you all here. All of you who have contributed to the implementation of these very important activities for the agricultural sector, and those who are with us. All this makes our country much more competitive and much more resilient to climate change. Young generation in agricultural and industrial activities, which are part of one of the most important sectors of national economy in Moldova. Thank you very much for your contributions, representing each of the components without which the IFAD components in Moldova wouldn't have been successful. It is a beginning of new challenges. And today we're going to talk about achievements, lessons learned, and people. For 7 years of the IFAD VII program, we have been together with wonderful people. Distinguished audience, thank you very much. It is the desire of IFAD team to present the beautiful results that we have achieved, but also to have an interaction. Your proposals and your suggestions will allow us to be even more efficient and much more close to the agricultural and industrial sector. Mr. Minister Bola often says that agriculture is not represented by figures only. Agriculture is about people, about generations of people in rural areas, making our country even more green, more beautiful, and enchanting. For the welcoming remarks, I would like to offer the floor to the main partner of IFAD partners in Moldova, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, which is represented today by two key individuals, Adrian Tigolan and Alexandra Shen. Thank you, Director. My welcoming remarks will also include some of the important things which I believe must be mentioned. Distinguished Director, Distinguished Secretary General, dear beneficiaries, Mr. Samir, if you can hear us, distinguished audience, hello. And thank you for the invitation to take part in this conference. The agricultural sector in the Republic of Moldova is one of the key employers in Moldova. It provides jobs to up to 21% of the active population of the country. If we also consider those who have agriculture as their key source of revenue in their household, then we can say that the share of farmers goes up 36%. Well, these days we had the days of table grapes producers, and I see here Mr. Ungureanu, who has very well organized the forum. One of the key discussions was how to bring back our co-nationals who are abroad. And the conclusion was one: even though we may bring back 100 or 200 or 300,000 of our co-nationals, most of them will still be in agriculture or in related areas. At the forum of the table grapes sector, we have also heard some interesting information prepared by IDIS. The population in agriculture in 2000 was 790,000 people. And in 2023, this figure went down to slightly over 100,000 people. And the intensity of occupation is 9 workers. So 9 individuals, 400 hectares. So we need smart agriculture. We need to apply digitalization and technologies in agriculture. We must promote associations. And we must generate produce with high added value based on demand and not on the things that we like to produce. And I can give you a very good example from our partners in IDIS. The revenue per hectare, if you produce table grapes or apples, is $8,100. But if you produce barley or wheat, then the revenue is $600. So you draw the conclusions. Now, how do we make those who left Moldova come back home? One of the answers will be given today at this final conference of the Rural Resilience Project, organized by the IFAD unit for consolidation and implementation of the projects. We're going to talk about lessons learned and opportunities, as well as success stories. We will hear people who were brave enough to invest in agriculture in Moldova. I went through some of the success stories which are published on the IFAD webpage, and we do have impressive stories. We have someone from the US who came here and invested in a rabbit farm. We have 3 brothers from Boțeni village, Hâncești district, who came back from Italy and invested in vegetable growing. We have another young agriculturer who also came back from abroad and invested in agriculture, and I liked very much what he said. If you are a friend of hard work and learning, you can get results anywhere in Moldova as well. So, throughout the years, the Consolidated Unit for Program Implementation, IFAD, has valued a portfolio, the value of which is $142 million. 23.5 out of these is non-reimbursable funding. And the support mechanism has been valued by providing support to farmers in setting up and developing economic infrastructure, agricultural markets, irrigation systems, training of small producers, which is very important, and I appreciate it very much. So, as a result of this investment, more than 5,200 preferential loans have been given. Out of them, 1,140 for SMEs, 3,160 for micro entrepreneurs, and 932 loans have been given to young entrepreneurs. And there is another very important thing to come back to the question: how do we involve returning migrants? Well, thanks to the IFAD program, according to the evaluations, about 20,000 individuals have been involved in various jobs in Moldova. One of the specific objectives of the Strategy for Development of Agriculture in Rural Areas for 2023-2030, developed by Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, is stimulation of initiation of businesses and development of businesses in rural areas. And the result indicator is the setup of businesses by young people, women, and returning migrants. And to make the launch of businesses in agriculture more dynamic, we stimulate young farmers, women farmers, micro farmers, and small farmers, returning migrants, startups, family farms. We develop businesses in rural areas and promote innovative technologies that are friendly to the environment. Thusly, a varied range of financial instruments and technical assistance is provided to this segment of beneficiaries. And one of the most effective entities in this sense is the Unit for Consolidation and Implementation of Programs IFAD. We provide microloans, we provide loans to young people and women entrepreneurs. And once again, I would like to underscore a very important thing which is very dear to me. That's mentoring in agricultural business. Young people and women who have got funding with a portion of it being a grant have access to mentoring. Because if you're not guided when you begin a business, particularly at the beginning of your activity, you get grants or cheap loans and you become adventurous. You take risky endeavors. And then you can create more difficulties than benefits. So we support very much mentoring in agricultural business. I would like to commend you on this important event for your implementation unit. I wish you success, lots of beneficiaries, and lots of quality programs in the future. May God help you, and you have the support of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry. Thank you. I'm sorry, there is no sound. Well, we represent Ministry of Agriculture with regard to the strategies and other activities which are planned. And on the other hand, we have the representative of our key donor. Our key donor is the International Fund for Agriculture Development. As it has been mentioned, they have quite an experience of activity in the Republic of Moldova of more than 24 years. The first project has been set up. I wanted to tell you with all certainty that we need to get to international experience in this sense. We have to use the best experts involved by IFAD, and they are always with us, they guide us. They help us implement the various kinds of analysis systems. We need to see what has to be done in our country compared to other 186 countries where IFAD is present. Now, allow me to offer the floor, this time online, to our country director, Samir. Samir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jurelu and Mr. Digolean, for the strong words about our collaboration in Moldova. Esteemed colleagues, dear participants, good morning. I'm very much pleased to speak on behalf of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, and I'm delighted to be among you today, although virtually, at this project completion conference, which will inform the audience about the main results achieved by the Rural Resilience Project, the lessons learned, and the way its impact will remain sustainable. The Rural Resilience Project, RRP, is actually the 7th IFAD investment in the Republic of Moldova. It has been approved by IFAD's Executive Board in November 2016, and the project started its implementation in August 2017, and is now closing, as we know, at the end of this month in March 2024. And this after 7 years of strong, committed services to the development of rural Moldova. Throughout its implementation, RRP strove to create a competitive, restructured, and modernized agri-food business sector that could improve living and working conditions in rural areas. And this, while reducing the reliance on the remittance-based growth model that has been a key driver in the previous decades. It's also worth noting that the project design was initially informed by the need to improve climate resilience in agriculture and agribusinesses. It also meant to improve the adaptive capacity of farmers and agribusinesses to climate change. I would like to say that these contributions to these objectives have been materializing through two technical components of the project that aimed at, first, improve adaptive capacity for smallholders and agribusinesses, with a specific focus on enhanced resilience through investments. And second, to provide critical agribusiness development support through better access to financial services and markets. For the project participants now, and along IFAD's mandate to develop rural agriculture, the project supported agribusinesses, comprising both micro-enterprises, small and medium enterprises, and young entrepreneurs. RRP, as such, also helped semi-subsistence and commercially oriented smallholder farmers and the most vulnerable segment of the population, such as youth and micro-entrepreneurs. It did so by also tailoring financial packages for which rural women would have eased access. I want to say that more particularly in terms of geographic targeting, RRP operated in location prone to climate risk and engaged in primary production, particularly intensive in terms of fruit orchards, viticulture, and berries. This priority focus on such crops is actually justified by the significant employment potential, which is also explained by their labor intensity. Of course, I could spend some time to talk about the detailed results achieved by the project, but I recognize that the upcoming panel discussion will be much more interesting than listening to me. However, I would like to highlight a few results RRP, the Ministry of Agriculture, through its CPIU and IFAD, can be proud of as a direct contribution to improve well-being of Moldova's rural population and reduce poverty. To name just a few, I would like to highlight that RRP managed to first improve access to safer and cleaner water through irrigation infrastructure and water accumulation reservoirs. It also increased women and youth employment opportunities through production and productivity expansion as a result of infrastructure investments. It also developed new women-led businesses and accompanied the expansion of existing ones through improved business conditions, such as access to markets, small infrastructure, and processing facility. RRP also attracted young migrants and incentivized them to return home and start a new business in the project area. It's on this very inspiring note that I would like to once again thank you all for attending this closing conference and wish you all a fruitful event. Thank you. Mulțumesc.
Thank you, Samir, for your warm words, and we promise as a team we'll be together with the new technology and all the suggestions which was coming from IFAD will be taken in consideration, and the future program will be no less resultful than its IFAD VII was. Thank you. Stimați colegi, cum am zis,
Dear colleagues, as I was saying, we represent a very important sector in the economy of the country, and here we mean the sector of agriculture. However, you know very well that agriculture is represented by the nature's processes, the purity of nature, those activities and effects which cannot be valorized, cannot be capitalized on unless we take into account the fact that the nature needs to be protected. It has to be treated in the most serious manner, and only in such a way we can have the best results. And we have had very many connections with the activities in the environment, and I would like to say with pride that IFAD Project Implementation Unit has accepted the invitation of Maya Sandu to make our country better and more beautiful and greener. And together with the Ministry of Environment, we have achieved quite a few beautiful things. But before, well, now to move on and share with you secrets, well, the so-called secrets, I would like to offer the floor to the State Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Petru Tataru. Dear Director, thank you very much. Dear State Secretary Digolan, Mr. Samir, if you are still with us, Mr. Ushurialu, honored hosts and friends, from the very beginning I would like to confirm the beneficial outcomes of the IFAD project, and from the very beginning I would like to express my appreciation of the results that we shall speak about today. Climate conditions are permanently evolving so as to ensure a resilient future for present and future generations are no longer an option. They have become a vital need. Lately, there have been intensified activities to promote the policy and normative framework in order to ensure the enforcement of the European Green Deal, and it is very important to highlight it here that we are in the process of aligning the EU standards to control the negative effects of climate change. The Ministry of Environment has set forth its key areas for the Ministry of Economy, and here I'd like to mention energy, transport, agriculture, forestry, waste management, and all of these with a view to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And this has been set forth by 2030, where we have established the measures of the vulnerable sectors of the national economy to climate change in order to ensure climate resilience for the mid and long run of the economic, social, and environmental systems. As regards the monitoring of hydrologic and weather conditions, there have been changes, and all these changes were felt once the law on the weather forecast and hydrologic activity has been approved, which is aimed at mitigating the effects or the impact thereof on the human lives and the activities of the state. The information of the weather forecasts and hydrological forecasts are provided to the public, thus enhancing transparency. Another important thing that is there for us in this area is to approve the law on climate action that will set the core legal framework with a view to achieving the climate neutrality by 2050. This is an ambitious objective. However, the director also mentioned that through the joint work that we shall do hand in hand in all the areas, and we know that we are very linked to the area of agriculture, we'll manage to achieve this ambitious goal. Moldova ranks the most vulnerable country in Europe from climate perspective, according to a survey. And the climate perspectives would be mainstreamed into the forestry area, such as afforestation, regeneration of forests, because forests are there to fight desertification, degradation of the soil, water, and water basins, as well as in mitigating climate change and keeping up biological diversity. I would also would like to highlight the role and the contribution of IFAD PIU to regenerating forest. In 2023, you have allocated over 8 million lei for this, and this amount has been distributed mainly for planting and buying the young trees to be planted on 325 hectares on 8 forestry undertakings. I would like to thank you thereby for contributing to the rehabilitation and expansion of forests with a target of 145,000 hectares by 2032. Dear participants, the beautiful achievements will continue, and the Ministry of Environment will continue contributing to achieving that. I'm looking forward for the new steps and new cooperations. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear General Secretary of State. As I was saying, through cooperation we achieve success, we reach conclusions, and only through cooperation we get outstanding results which can be replicated and continued in the future. Nevertheless, today all of us have deemed it necessary that at the end of a quite ambitious project, a project that has been through a number of challenges, we would rather make totals of all the activities that have been implemented. A short description of the project in 2017. Within the framework and as a result of quite interesting discussions with the International Rural Development Fund, we have the IFAD VII program has been launched, entitled Rural Resilience Program. Because IFAD VII was a continuation of the activities implemented before. However, also an important thing that IFAD throughout this period of implementation has been and continues to be there for the SMEs, for small women entrepreneurs, and the important contribution is the support of the young people with a national coverage area, and in all districts of the country controlled by the government of the Republic of Moldova. Within the framework of the project, the project has had two main components, and we have improved the adaptation skills of SMEs to climate change, or the project enhancing resilience of farmers and being loyal to the smallest and most vulnerable and most affected residents of the rural areas. The component was there to provide financial, technical support and guidance for the farmers so that they are as resilient as possible to the changes that we can see on a daily basis. The second component that is quite important is the support for the development of the agricultural business. The IFAD concept is not there to provide money or to provide credits. The concept of IFAD is there to provide support or guidance, and only all together the technical assistance, guidance, and assistance through equipment, facilities. We are sure that this will yield the necessary result, and this has been the key of success of a program that has been part of history but has not been part of history and will stay there as quite a good program, because within the program we have had a number of achievements. And during the 7 years of implementation of IFAD VII, there have been a number of successes achieved, and I would like to repeat that IFAD program did not focus on figures but on persons, because the farmers are actually our target as an implementation program. During these 7 years, we have managed to build 8 segments of roads that would benefit 275 households. We managed to make possible the irrigation for this of the systems, or the 478 hectares of land could be considered as part of the performing farming circulation. And also we have managed to build and rehabilitate water catchment reservoirs that will benefit 980 households, and also 270 grants had been funded in order to provide adaptation measures of farmers. Together with colleagues of Moldova, the Ministry of Environment, we have succeeded in establishing in planting 456 hectares of forest belts within the framework of 25 local authorities. Also for carbon sequestration, we managed to ensure 67 hectares of grass covers. We have also managed to disburse 175 credits, including for young entrepreneurs, SMEs, for funding of micro entrepreneurs in the agricultural and industrial area. And here we mean both credits for processing as well as for growing farm produce. And what is not less important and even more important was that, as it has been mentioned also by my previous speakers, it is easy to give money. It is much more difficult to ensure maximum efficiency thereof. And therefore, within the framework of this TA of a FAD, about 155,000 of persons have benefited. And I would also like to mention here the development partners' efforts, which together with the farmers have managed, the young entrepreneurs have managed to develop the business plans or the plans for developing a firm future. And in the end, in order not to take up too much of your attention, I would like to mention that the $23.7 million funding that were provided by the donor for the activities, we managed to attract additional funds from beneficiaries, which amounted to $11,300,000. The contribution of the government being quite impressive, amounting to 3.58 million US dollars, and the contribution of the partner financial institutions, banks of Moldova, that have provided 1,800,000 US dollars. So these are figures behind which there is a lot of hard work, and this is why I would like to thank the colleagues from IFAD for their contribution and their dedication. Once again, we need to thank the donor and the representatives of the donors which have been there for us and next to us. I would like to thank the colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Food Industry, Ministry of Environment, and other stakeholders which represent the large agricultural industrial sector. But as I was saying, results are achieved by the people, and maybe that meant that we as PIU IFAD took the responsibility to make the presentation slightly different. The outcomes have to be presented by the people that have contributed to achieving these results. And in this format, I would like to invite the first panel, where our colleagues that have contributed to the implementation and achievement of these objectives, so that they share with us what we have achieved or what has been achieved. And this is why I would like to ask for your proposals and suggestions. Elena?
The first panel will be the panel dedicated to development of agricultural business, provision of financial products, and we will see the outcomes of those activities. Yelena Burlaku was the head of the business development team, so Yelena, please proceed. Thank you. Distinguished Secretary General, distinguished Madam Secretary General, distinguished Country Director of IFAD, distinguished beneficiaries, partners, I'm very glad to present today the results related to the component financial service and assistance for rural areas. Let me attempt to open the presentation. So, on my presentation will follow in due time, and I would like to invite here the panelists, those who contributed to the implementation of the component. I invite here beneficiaries, a very ambitious lady, Victoria Galben. She is the administrator of the farm Galben Victoria. And as you can see, she manages everything. I would also like to invite Liliana Gheorghiță. As you can see, women are the ones who represent us. Liliana is the leader of a group of women set up under the project. And of course, those achievements wouldn't have been possible without our partners. I invite here Vadim Arama, representative of the loan department of Moldova Green Bank. one of the partners with whom we have implemented training activities and other kind of support and technical assistance for beneficiaries is the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I invite here Inga Leontan. Please join us, ma'am. And in the project, we have benefited from focused support from the associations of savings and loans, and I invite here Yefim Lupanchuk, Executive Director of the Central National Association of the Savings and Loans Association. Our company is growing grapes. We have also areas where we grow berries. Now we are in a vineyard. You see, we covered it with foil because last year we had issues related to accumulation of heat. So this year we decided to have earlier vegetation, and this would give us better quality grapes in autumn. Last year was difficult, but we ultimately made it. There are things which we cannot manage, and this is related to nature. Well, the IFAD assistance was very important. We have seen the outcomes very well when we installed the irrigation systems. We have seen immediately the effect of irrigation. It was twice as efficient. Now it's much easier to get loans. Had we had such opportunities 10 years ago, we would have been much more developed. Now it's much better. So we shall continue. I will briefly make my presentation, and hopefully you will understand that there are plenty of things which I will just not manage to cover. We would need more than a day to talk about this. So, our component had the following purpose: provide financial support in the form of loans and grants for the medium-term and long-term perspective. We provided technical support and assistance to 6 groups of beneficiaries: women entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises, micro-entrepreneurs, producer groups, and women's groups. And under this component, we also enjoyed focused support to develop the associations of savings and loans. I think it was a good idea to start the presentation with this component because this is the biggest component, even in terms of the amount that was in the portfolio. 60% of the total project portfolio has been used for this component. About 14 million have been allocated. We have disbursed more than 14 million and ultimately managed to accomplish 103%. Here we had 365 businesses that have been developed, and all these businesses are a success. The results show us that women entrepreneurs are very ambitious. If you look at the total number of businesses that have been funded, 169 are women. So we have achieved more than we have planned on this category, 106%. Young entrepreneurs are also very ambitious. We also had a better achievement of the target. We have achieved 123 of what we have planned initially. Small and medium enterprises that already have some kind of experience, and there are those who have started their activities in previous programs and now we see them as successful companies. Well, these were quite active, and we managed to fund under this component 78 companies, and we have achieved 144% of the initial target. Micro entrepreneurs, they require both financial support and technical assistance. This target has also been accomplished, but not completely. This is a sector which needs special attention. And the unit here and the partners are working continuously on this. Under this component, we have provided support to a group of producers, and we built 5 groups of women. The amounts allocated to those groups were grants, and then there were investments made in these businesses. Later on, throughout the implementation of this project, additionally to the project of rural resilience, we have launched a pilot project for development of businesses based on remittances for young people. This pilot project has been implemented together with the National Commission for the Financial Markets and with the National Association of Associations for Savings and Loans. The outcome was different compared to our project, but the support of the project consisted in the fact that young entrepreneurs received grants for development of their businesses, but for businesses based on remittances. We managed to fund 11 young people with more than $100,000. The impact is not measured just in figures. It is also measured in the courage and ambition of the beneficiaries. The ambition of women in launching a business, and not just a business, well, out of the total number of funded companies, we have 25% of newly formed companies. With the support of the project, we managed to bring up businesses to a different level. 25%, as I have mentioned, were newly formed companies. And out of these, 25%, almost 90%, are women. These are companies made by women. And half of the newly formed companies have been set up by young people. We're very happy that we managed to attract lots of young people. As a result, we accomplished the development that we desire. Development of the economy of our country, the Republic of Moldova. Now, we spoke about businesses. We supported agriculture, we supported agricultural business, and I would like to present this slide, the portfolio of financial services by fields of activity and beneficiaries. Now, we have invested mostly in post-harvesting activities, in orchardry, and we also have a lot of activities in animal breeding. Women entrepreneurs have lots of new businesses in beekeeping. And bees and women are a very good combination for success, you know. Let me also mention that financial services have been implemented together with our partners, participating financial institutions. We had 7 commercial banks as partners and 1 non-banking organization, an association of savings and loans. The share of involvement of partner financial institutions was quite remarkable. You can, of course, see the share of each institution in the total loans portfolio. But I would like to thank all partners and financial institutions for their contribution, for their effort to reach our business people, those who are in rural areas, and generate good results for our projects. Besides financial services, we had a range of additional activities for support and assistance. This was for beneficiary entrepreneurs, and it was a dedicated, targeted assistance based on needs collected in the field. We had dedicated trainings on specific subjects, and we also targeted specific interest groups. We had lots of beneficiaries of technical assistance, training, study visits, and participation in exhibitions. More than 1,846 people have participated. I'm not going to read the list of all activities that we have organized, but I tried to group them by topics. We have also organized various study visits, locally and internationally. And there was also participation in fairs. To stay, to together with entrepreneurs, we have developed valuable materials for them, various guidelines and applications, based on which many things could be accomplished. One of the applications is already on the webpage of the Unit of Consolidation and Implementation of Projects, IFAD. There's a web application for budget management for micro entrepreneurs. Any individual, a legal entity, or a natural person can use this application to keep track of their revenues and costs, and then see the results and even some recommendations to modify the budget. And there is another platform, e-learning platform. The application is called Business Development Center. It includes online courses. All materials of all trainings that have been organized will be placed there later on. Anyone will be able to get access to this and read the materials. There will be webinars, quizzes, how to become an entrepreneur, and there will be other financial collections, video clip collections, and other. We brought here everything related to things that will be relevant for those who will need information. As I have mentioned, there was focused support, technical assistance for the sector of associations for savings and loan. And we have remarked this during the project implementation period. The savings and loan associations are the financial institutions which are much closer to the micro entrepreneurs. And there is also the target group of the IFAD, which is close to these associations. So we paid attention to these. We provided individual training and support regarding the matter of increasing competitiveness of savings and loan associations. We provided assistance on developing the strategy of the sector of savings and loans associations for the period 2023-2028. We conducted a study on the use of the single information management system used by the associations for savings and loans. Later on, we shall hear another presentation about the usefulness of this system. And in this sector, we also benefited from a partnership in the implementation of the remittances project. I would also like to express gratitude to the partners who were together with the unit, who were together with us in implementation of the technical assistance for this component. We have collaborated with numerous associations and companies, non-governmental organizations. You can see the National Association of Beekeepers, National Association of Young Managers, the Federation of Farmers from Moldova, Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Moldova. In terms of training, an outcome and quite a bit of involvement has been seen in the context of financial education for young entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs, those who intend to develop a business. There was training in financial education, which we had in cooperation with the OK Foundation. Now, those who led this component, those who took effort and invested their professional skills, were the team which I would like to mention. There's Inga Kovalchuk. Here's Inga. Alina Mamatuk. There she is. Gennady Sandu. And there's another colleague, Natalia Mania. She's been with us for a while. She's not with us now. And under this team, we would like to express gratitude to all beneficiaries, because they are the ones for whom we took efforts. And we would also like to thank the partners in project implementation. Now I would like to bring up the opinions and stories of those together with whom we have gone through all these years. Victoria, you seem to be a very ambitious woman. Please tell us your story. What motivates you? It is quite interesting to find out, how do you manage to combine family life and your business? Hello, everyone. In fact, our business was funded in 2018, and the purpose for which we decided to do what we did was the following. You know, there's no place like home. This is the slogan of our family, and this is what motivates us to attract funding and work in order to develop a beautiful country here, back at home. And this also helps us build a better future for our children.
To leave the country but come here and feel great here. Well, we are beekeepers, and beekeeping is a member of our family, and whenever you are a part of something or something is a part of you and love is something that motivates you, you can't say that this is a service that you provide to someone and you're not paid off. Being in among beehives, there we find our peace and our quietness. This is something that creates us, and it's not difficult to combine the work, the family, and the beekeeping. And for other women who are in the country and outside of the country, I would like to encourage them to invest in the country. And I take this opportunity to thank for the funding within the IFAD project. This has been a very significant financial support for our family and for the development of the business. And it was possible that thanks to IFAD project, our business grew, and we have a more beautiful family, if I may say so. This is why I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this family, the IFAD family. And I encourage everyone to apply to the projects that are funded by our country and by our beautiful, but small but beautiful country. Thank you. Thank you very much, Victoria. Now, all those who are present here know where is the sweetest, the best honey. A success in the business is much bigger when there is an association created. Liliana, through her ambition, managed to bring other 5 women together to develop businesses together. Liliana, could you please share with us how you managed to have the association and what are the advantages? I am Liliana Gheorghiță. I am from Sângerei, from Biruința village. It's there that we started our business. We have associated among 5 farmers, and we have been on the market for 5 years. We are a success story. Well, what brought us together was that all of us had farming land. Some of us were beekeepers, others. Well, and we were thinking what to do with the land, and we came up with we have come up with an idea, and I would like to say that we wouldn't have managed it without the team of IFAD here, and everything started when we were provided with TA for making the business plan, and then we have benefited from all the equipment for the production areas, and we have benefited from training for growing and for producing medicinal plants. This is what we decided to do. We didn't know that we needed the experience, but we participated at the exhibition in Rimini, Italy, and at the exhibition made in Moldova. It was huge support for us because we understood where we are, what we have to do, what are our gaps, what are our advantages, and that helped us move forward. And we have created jobs. We all work in this process, and I would like to say that the impact is considerable, because we have contracted partners that provide support for agronomic side. We have purchased seeds. Now we are sowing. It's not very profitable to stop at drying the plant only. So we developed the value chain, which was done with the support of the IFAD PIU, and we continue on that. And I would like to thank your team in particular, because we have felt like at home next to you every time we had questions, or when we needed information. Ms. Sandu, Mr. Burlaku, you were always with us. Thank you very much for that. And I would like to thank you, and when we hear these words, I would like to encourage and just to add a few more things. I am aware of all the funding programs that exist in Moldova, and every time, whenever I go and whenever I speak to anyone, I always recommend to join the IFAD family. because here people are, just taken care of like in an incubator, and I hope very much that the experiences prove impediments, but the benefits of association and it's not an option. It's a need for the development of the agricultural sector in Moldova. Thank you for these appreciations, Liliana. Any achievement is done together with others. And we have Vadim here who will share with us how it was for how was the cooperation as a partner, MAIB, in the project. It's a partner of the bank since 2001, since IFAD program started in Moldova. And what were the recommendations or the encouragement for the businesses to do business here at home? Thank you for the invitation. Well, the partnership between MAIB and IFAD PIU is successful because thanks to this partnership, we have succeeded to support the small entrepreneurs, small farmers. It is a successful partnership between the farmers, and thanks to this partnership, we have managed to support the business development and the overcoming of businesses through access to funding, ensuring access to funding. And the costs, which are much smaller compared to the market prices that for costs relating to starting the businesses. And this is and it has been repeatedly mentioned today. And we have spoken today about the support that any business would require, and one of the challenges which underpinned the partnership was the stimulation of innovation and technology. Thanks to this, businesses succeeded to get on other sales market of their products. Thanks to these incentives and technologies, the farmers succeeded to avoid climate-related risks, which are more and more obvious and happening. The drought, for instance, that often is there. We are grateful for the support that we have succeeded to get throughout this partnership, and we have managed to earn the trust of 68 women that we funded the loans with, or the credits with grants, and we had over 60 clients, micro, small and medium-sized companies, and we have managed to provide over 100,000 lei through these projects. And we have, so all the beneficiaries, all the clients of the bank, not only MAI, but all the financial institutions are looking for these sources, and this is because these resources have a cheaper market price and there are tax incentives and that are so necessary at a certain point of the investment of the in these projects. The advice, the mentorship, and the strategies and planning that is needed to all entrepreneurs, regardless of their stage of development, whether they are new or not so new. Thank you, Vadim, so much. I would like to say it doesn't matter which partner contributed how much. I would like now to thank all the partners for their contribution in the implementation of this project. Inga, you as a representative of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have implemented a number of activities, trainings, international visits. Another kind of support was to organize the financial literacy trainings with the OK Foundation, and you have visited almost every rural community sharing the useful information. And please share with us what is, from your perspective, the support that is provided, and also taking into account that you have often been there with our beneficiaries. You have heard discussions, opinions, recommendations. What would you recommend, or what would you say is useful for our beneficiaries? Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate the entire team of IFAD PIU on the successful completion of rural resilience projects. Figures indeed are impressive, and I hope that this motivates other entrepreneurs to join the IFAD family. Today, it has been repeatedly mentioned, it's not a project, it is a true family. It is a special pleasure for us, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Moldova, to be next to IFAD, and we have also tried to provide our inputs for the implementation of certain actions. Therefore, throughout these years, we have contributed to the organization of trainings on financial education for the population in the rural areas. We have organized 34 training sessions in a number of communities with the participation of over 500 beneficiaries. We have organized study visits to Bosnia and Herzegovina for IFAD experts and the representatives of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture. And we have recently organized several study visits for fruit growers to Italy, Ravenna and Lombardia. And the participation of these trainings in these study visits, we were able to draw some conclusions, and this is why it would be important to continue with these trainings, both in the country as well as abroad. And as a result of these discussions with the beneficiaries, well, that leads to an increased level of financial literacy, and this improves the beneficiaries' capacity to take informed decisions and to better manage resources, and that contributes to a certain level to reducing inequalities, because beneficiaries, as a result of these trainings, beneficiaries have ways of and have instruments to better manage their resources. They contribute to the reduction of dependence on the foreign support. And with regard to the study visits, if you would ask any participant if this is useful, everyone would say yes, this is beneficial, from the perspective that this is a great and extraordinary possibility to see on site the newest technologies, to exchange experiences and knowledge, and to take over from the experts from the countries where agriculture had been developed, and where agriculture is more developed, and there are more technologies applied, and there is more cooperation. In Italy, there is an incontestable leader with regard to cooperation, being the first in Europe in this regard. And just as a recommendation for the future, I would like to make a reference to what our beneficiaries mentioned. It would definitely take trainings and in the area of climate change resilience, association cooperatives, developing of agricultural businesses, improvement of processing capacity and agro-industry in the rural area. Therefore, such actions would bring valuable benefits for the final beneficiaries, organizations, contributing to improving performances and the promotion of sustainable development. And we are happy that we are your partners, and we are happy to be with you in the future as well for the project number 8 that is already being implemented. And thank you again for trusting us and for being next with us, both in the country and next to us, being both in the country as well as abroad. Thank you and lots of success. Thank you, Inga. And thank you to all the partners who are here in the room and that have contributed to these activities. Another important support of the project was to strengthen the SCA sector. Yefim, can you please share with us how useful it is and why is this support necessary for the savings and credit associations? Thank you. On behalf of the SCA sector, I would like to express our gratefulness for the support that had been provided within the framework of the 7th program, but not only this one. And you all know that this sector is actually, IFAD has contributed to the development of the sector starting with 2000, when there were several associations set up in Ungen, and since then IFAD has been providing funding and support through the SCAs. I was happy to see that in the presentation you've mentioned that next to the banks there is an association, savings and credit associations, and as the previous speakers mentioned, that the women are like little bees, busy bees, and in Kostiast, Yalovin, there are only women working both in the administrative board as well as the censorship committee, and maybe this is the success, and that the women have realized they have undertaken an effort and they have contributed to the outcomes of the project. Within the framework of the association, which is there for over 25 years, the savings and credit associations, with their modest share in the crediting market, play an important role by the fact that in the rural area the banks are not so active, and there is another advantage that the banks are somewhat restricted with regard to responsible crediting, and the associations have a priority in providing the credits without being obliged to respect this legal requirement. And I would like to say that within the framework of the IFAD assistance programs, IFAD has recently benefited from an initiative, an assessment of these initiatives that are used in the association. The outcomes have been already submitted to IFAD, and we would submit it. We would use the expert recommendations. And also last year we had a project that was also funded by IFAD. It was the development of the strategy for sector development. We already started implementing the recommendations that have been provided in the strategy. Not lastly, I would like to say that it was a very ambitious project, since you have implemented with the NCFM, so that the SCAs are part of the payment system of the Republic of Moldova. So 30 associations had been assisted in becoming payment agents, through which the rural population has access to remittances, and not only to remittances, also other payment services. And I have seen the results that have been achieved through the SCAs. This is small-scale remittances or small amount remittances. We know that in the district centers the banks are there, and if the associations provide the service for granting remittance or for issuing remittances at a small fee, it is convenient. If the fee is higher, then they go to the bank. And we have seen actually the results that show that the rural youth had the possibility to access grants and get remittances from their relatives. Another activity that you have mentioned was the training of the managers of the SCAs in all the programs that we have implemented so far. IFAD doesn't forget about our sector, and we are very grateful for the efforts that are being undertaken, and I would like to congratulate the team on the results, and don't forget to that we are here next to your team for future projects as well.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for participation. Thank you for having accepted our invitation. Let me repeat, it does make sense to express gratitude to the partners, and we are grateful to the beneficiaries. We once again say thank you that they are with us, that they are brave enough and ambitious enough to develop a business. We encourage the entrepreneurs and thank you for the success stories that have been shared today. Thank you for being brave enough to develop a business here at home. It is also good that what we have conceived back in 2012 now is becoming good. And we thought about the combination of words that would represent us. And we said, develop a business at home. This was our slogan throughout the years. We are proud of it. And we see that the tree that we've planted is yielding results. Further on, We would like to mention the components related to the economic infrastructure. This activity is in great demand. And if we use just figures, it's nothing. But if we mention the number of beneficiaries who became more resilient to climate change, who had the opportunity to have added value, to have their produce transported on good roads, to maintain safety and security of the agricultural produce. Well, in this sense, there's quite a large number of those who benefited from the projects implemented by the colleagues. Now we have here Mr. Cervatuk, the individual known in almost all communities, and Alexandru Belski. Dear colleagues, you have the floor. Dear colleagues, distinguished audience, together with Mr. Cervatuk, we are going to have a short presentation about implementation of the infrastructural projects and the Rural Resilience Project. And first, I would like to invite the representatives of beneficiaries. Veronika Kupcha from Sreteni Vek village, Telenej district. Victor Babayan, representative of client group from Pelenia village, Kahul district. Valeriu Pleshka, representative of the client group, Gura Căinarului, Floreș district. Ivan Kuhar, mayor of the village Unguri in Oknița district, and Teodor Boțan, director of Agrodor Succes company, an implementation partner for our project. Irrigation is essential in development of agriculture, in ensuring food security and sustainability in agricultural sector. This has been notified by those who live in Cucoara, Androșu de Sus, and Peleni. From Cahul, they are facing droughts in recent years, just like other regions of the country. And in this context, the International Fund for Agricultural Development comes in to support the farmers, providing them grants to implement the modern irrigation systems. Project beneficiaries are saying that participation in this project will allow them to grow high-quality grapes, which will further help them get access to more sales markets, inclusive European ones. Thanks to this site, we can actually get to a next level of development. We can bring in irrigation into vineyards. This is a different kind of agriculture, intensive agriculture that meets European standards. We united and we got this project that will bring us water for irrigation. Now the idea is to submit a project to IFAD to bring water into the vineyards to get better quality grapes, and that will allow us to sell to Europe and basically get results. We are happy because we worked in different climatic conditions, in drought as well, and now we are here. We tried pumping for 3 or 4 days already, and we see good results. The mayors of the communities where the irrigation projects are being implemented are saying that the development of rural infrastructure will create better conditions for the locals, particularly for the young people. Distinguished colleagues, as I said it before, we are now going to talk very briefly about the outcomes of the implementation of the infrastructural component of the Rural Resilience Project. Now, subcomponent 1.1 grants to increase resilience to climate change through productive investments in rural infrastructure and agricultural systems. A bit of a revision. The types of investments which we have supported and the kinds of infrastructure objects that we have implemented. It is the construction of water supply networks for irrigation, construction or rehabilitation of water catchment lakes for irrigation, and construction and repair of road segments and bridges. Now, in terms of funding conditions, irrigation infrastructure, water supply networks for irrigation. We have invested into pumping stations, water supply pipes from the water source to the field, and reservoirs if necessary. The maximum amount of the grant was $300,000, and the minimum amount of the beneficiary's contribution, local public administration and economic agents, was 15%. Now, reservoirs. Here we supported construction and rehabilitation of reservoirs for irrigation. That included cleaning the pond bed, dam repair, construction of bottom water evacuator, and the maximum amount of the grant was $300,000, and the minimum value of the beneficiary's contribution was 10%. Now, in terms of roads, the investment included construction and repair of road segments and bridges to ensure access in all weather conditions to agricultural production areas and agri-food processing enterprises. The maximum amount of the grant was also $300,000, and the minimum value of the beneficiary's contribution was higher, it was 50%. Now, specific results. Throughout the implementation of the project of rural resilience, the IFAD funded 18 infrastructure objects. Out of them, 7 irrigation systems with a total area of 387 hectares of irrigated surface, including 8 pumping stations, 25.8 kilometers of water supply networks, 3 accumulation pools, 7 access roads with a length of 6.2 kilometers, 4 water catchment lakes with a total volume of 260,000 cubic meters. The total cost of the investment was 76.9 million lei, or approximately $4.3 million. Now, specifically in terms of cost distribution for various types of infrastructure projects. Well, for the irrigation systems, the investment costs were 25.7 million lei. For reservoirs, 9.7 million lei, and for access roads, 41.5 million lei. Here you can see the beneficiaries of the projects in the context of rural resilience and infrastructure. In terms of irrigation systems, we have beneficiaries from Sakharna Nova, Ruzina district, Grimanka-Uts, Prichin district, Lopatna from Orhei district, Pilinia, Cucoara from Cahul district, Varvareuca from Florești district, and Guracăinarului also from Florești district. Now, in terms of investment costs, these varied between approximately 2 million lei and up to 4.8 million lei for the construction and rehabilitation of the irrigation system. Now, road segments and bridges. Here the beneficiaries were Biliceni Vechi village, Sângere district, Sărăteni Vechi village, Telenești district, Trușeni, Chișinău municipality, Bogdanovka Veche from Cimișlia district, city of Lova, Copceac from Gagauzia, and Văleni from Cahul district. Here the amount of investment varied from 2.9 million lei to 12.35 million lei. Now, rehabilitation of lakes. In this case, we have 4 sites. Ungur village, 2 lakes from Grimancăuț village, Briceni district, and Andrușul de Sus village from Cahul district. Now, in terms of the estimated impact, why we implemented this project. In terms of figures, we had altogether 108 economic agents in 16 communities who benefited from the project. But the economic entities were not the only beneficiaries. There were more than 4,000 households who benefited from those infrastructure projects. The harvest amount increased. New jobs have been created. Better added value jobs have been created. There was access to water sources for irrigation for the rehabilitated lakes. This was possible in any season and in any meteorological conditions. As I have promised, I made this presentation very short. Thank you very much for your attention, and now we shall offer the floor to the beneficiaries of the project. Distinguished colleagues, I would like to give the floor to one of our beneficiaries. He represents the association from Mărculești, Mr. Valeriu Pleșca. Thanks to his efforts, the old Soviet system is being rehabilitated, Guracăinarului. And they have implemented an infrastructure project, and Valeriu Pleșca will now say a few words. Distinguished audience, Mr. Ușurelu, dear colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture, congratulations on being a team, a success path. We make the resilience of the Republic of Moldova. We say Moldovans come back home. I, for example, came back to my native village, and I managed to bring together a number of farmers and convince them, which is very difficult for Moldovans, to get together in an association. We managed to successfully implement the project thanks to the consolidated team of the consultants under all aspects. A big thing has been accomplished, a beautiful thing. We rehabilitated the irrigation system in Guracăinarului, Florești district. There used to be several thousands of hectares of orchards being irrigated using that system. Now, me and my team managed to convince the Sustainable Development Fund and then the project team. Ultimately, the goal was accomplished. Water for irrigation will reach more than 100 hectares of land. and more than 1,000 hectares will be served after we raise additional funding and serve the reservoirs. This is ultimately my ambition. This is what I want to accomplish. I am not a farmer. I do not grow tomatoes. I am the one who convinces the investors. We get the resources, the inputs, and then we get to the irrigation area and storage area. And then we will deliver the produce for the internal trade and for the European Commission. And last but not least, the resources that we get from partners and founders will actually help us succeed. So I wish you to be ambitious, to have a good plan, be consecutive, brave, no whining. I'm sorry. Let's do a good job so that nobody would use the phrase poor country with regard to the Republic of Moldova. I'm very sorry, but I will need to leave. One of the beneficiaries of the road infrastructure project is the municipality of Săreteni Vechi village in Telenești, together with a group of economic entities. They have invested about 2 million lei in the reconstruction of the current road. The conditions were tough. They had to contribute 50% of the amount. And that's quite a bit of money, but together with the municipality, we managed to commission this road infrastructure. And Veronica Kupcha, mayor, will speak about this more. Distinguished audience, the municipality of Săreteni Vechi and economic entities in the area have benefited from an infrastructure project. A sector of the road has been repaired. The road has been built using concrete and asphalt. The benefits are enormous. Several economic entities have joined our activities. There's an economic entity that joined us recently with the intention to develop a business in the area. For the villages, the infrastructure means the possibility to increase their own revenues. Of course, we had some difficulties, but direct thanks to the qualified specialists from IFAD implementation unit, we were successful. In this sense, I would like to express high gratitude and personal gratitude to the business people, to those who live in Săreteni Vechi. So the more you can do, the better. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The willingness of economic entities is very important for the infrastructure projects. Their willingness to achieve their goals. Mr. Babayan is one of such economic entities. He represents a group of clients in Pelenia village in Cahul. Last year, they have felt the impact of the irrigation system. Last year, we began this site in May, and in August, we have commissioned the works. And there were several irrigations, and there was an impact on the plantation of the table grapes, Moldova. Hello, everyone. I represent the group of clients from Pelenia village in Cahul, and I'm also the chair of the Association of Water Consumers, which we have set up. We benefited from the infrastructure project from IFAD, pumping station, and about 5 kilometers of water pipe. We couldn't do that on our own. We contributed with 15% of the total amount of money. 20 more, much more has been contributed by IFAD. We, as small producers, we couldn't have done it on our own. We've been thinking about it, but we definitely were unable to achieve what has been achieved. Yes, we began in May, and when we saw the fact that everything is going smooth according to the schedule, we continued our cooperation with Agrodor. We worked with the infrastructure inside the vineyard. When the water came into the vineyard, we've been watering the vine plants all the time. And we have seen the difference between our plantation and the neighboring plantation. Our neighbors have harvested about 7 tons per hectare. We harvested twice as much. Moldova is vulnerable to droughts, and Cahul district is also vulnerable to droughts. I would like to thank UCPFAT for the loans. We benefited from the loans there. We got projects from them. There were some experimental plots of land. Now we want to implement another infrastructural project related to the accumulation lake. We want a pumping station, lighting, and that should be close to the plantation, because we are pumping from 3 or 4 kilometers away. Now we are about to apply to IFAD for a project related to infrastructure with the accumulation lake and all the other needed infrastructure. Once again, thank you very much. You can do this. Just get in touch with IFAD. Let me tell you that climate change had a significant impact on the local sources of irrigation. And if we take the north of Moldova, almost all local sources of smaller irrigation dried out or were muddied. And there is a project to rehabilitate the existing pond. And that's the project in Ungur village in Oknitsa district. We started it the previous year, and now we have commissioned it. And now I would like to offer the floor to the mayor of the village, which is the initiator of implementation of this project, Mr. Ivan Kuchar, the mayor of the village in Oknitsa district.
Dear guests, I would like to probably share with you big thank yous from our economic operators, from my own behalf, for your contribution to keeping and modernizing our sector. The village Ungur is planted with orchards. This is why water is life. All our lakes that are older than 40 years are already very poor quality, and you can imagine that we would have not been able to implement such projects on our own, and our budgets are very scarce. But thanks to the IFAD PIU is really essential. So this is actually the work that is done in cooperation with the local government and economic operator when we all invest in our future, in modernizing our orchards and our work, and we keep the jobs. That is the most important thing. We keep up our agriculture and our orchards. May you all be healthy, and I think that IFAD PIU project has a bright future, and thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. The implementation of the irrigation infrastructure projects are not possible without our partners, and one of such partners is the Agrodor Succes company. We have been cooperating with this company for quite some time, and this company has been on the market for over 20 years, and Mr. Botsan will share with us the details. They are selling the irrigation parts, and in 7th IFAD they have worked in Lopatna village, and we have an economic operator, Mr. Chebotar, the Water Users Association Agrorusin, and the object that Victor referred to, village Pilini of Cahul, Theodor Botsan, the director of Agrodor Succes Limited Liability Company. Honored audience, thank you. Thank you to IFAD project that helps develop agriculture in our country. We were chosen as the executors of 2 projects funded by IFAD and Lopatna, as Victor mentioned, and Lopatna and in Cahul. We did the works on time, and that was done thanks to the team of experts of Agrodor Succes company. They have been trained, and they permanently, continuously work on modernization, and they always work on bringing the drop of water to the roots in a uniform way. And what has done in Cahul, pumping the water at 18 bars pressure to be brought to the roots of the plant with a tube under the ground at 35-40 centimeters deep. Well, this indeed requires specialists, engineers who know the hydraulics, they know many mechanic and hydraulic and agricultural work. So thank you very much, and further on we'll work on modernizing irrigation systems, on digitalization of irrigation systems. And I would like to wish IFAD long years and to continue to contribute to the development of the country and the farmers. Thank you. Thank you, dear beneficiaries, honored audience. On these great things, the second panel is rounded up, and we continue with the next stage of the conference. Thank you. Indeed, the efforts undertaken by every stakeholder and part, and the companies that have implemented the project, and the beneficiaries that have managed to come together in farmer groups, and this is why the local governments that proved to be very responsible. And I understand that without the joint efforts that the local government would have to make, it is not possible to make the village more beautiful and so on. And I cannot round up the conference unless I introduce the third block of activities, less known but not less implemented. And this is about the support, and this is about the strengthening resilience to climate change. the forests that have been planted with the support of the city halls or village halls, and we talk about the forest belts that would not allow the soil to degrade. And we also talk about performing agricultural systems that were presented within the framework of numerous trainings and workshops, including on-site trainings. And this is why I would like to invite the colleagues from the third panel, those that were next to you in implementing the systems and the support provided to enhance the resilience of the farmers. Dumitru and Gheorghe, please come up the stage. Dear Deputy Minister, dear audience, I would like to invite the representatives, Mr. Florian Incas, Mr. Adam, the Forestry Undertaking of Telnești, Iraida Jitar from Mayor of the Sauca village, Tatiana Pavluk, Director of the Limited Liability Company Plail Barladanului, the Manager of Ozon Tech Impex, and Rudica Celac, Manager at Promedan Prim. Farmers with initiatives can benefit from grants to return their investment for agricultural equipment purchase. IFAD provides funds up to $7,500 access IFAD grants and develop rural businesses. Details can be got. You can get details at this number. Indeed, climate change is that we all see and feel high temperatures, non-uniform distribution of rainfall, increase the prices for consumption products, including agricultural inputs, is a reason to become aware of these things and implement new working and development strategies by mitigating the impact on the soil, the environment, biodiversity, by bringing an added value both to the farms as well as the social environment in the rural area. In this regard, IFAD PIU has come up with solutions for implementing environmentally friendly good practices by providing investments for farmers' adaptation to climate change, as well as by approving measures for ecological restoration and risk reduction. Which were the products and this is mainly about grants for implementing forest belts or forest rehabilitation and extension of the areas for grasses to improve the environment, and solutions for small-scale farms, rural farms, to become more sustainable, more resilient in the production process in relation to climate change and economic changes. Dear guests, good afternoon. If I may, I would like to say in a few words about the importance of climate resilience for the forests. And I have heard that there were investments made by IFAD PIU in many areas, but I believe that the most important long-term investment is for setting up forests, and 456 hectares for forests have been allocated, with over 17 million Moldovan lei allocated, and for increasing space for pastures or grazing land with grants of over 400,000 lei. Further on, I would like to make a presentation of the distribution of these areas by geographic areas in Moldova. So as you can see, in Moldova, the largest area of forests have been made in the south of the country, which is a very good characteristic, taking into account that the south of the country has the smallest afforested area, and this is why these areas are impressive for this. And as regards the grass cover, was in the north of the country, in particular in the apple orchards between the rows, in order to reduce the erosion, assimilate the quantities of water to create humus and the black soil. And the next figure shows the distribution of the services providers and the areas that were established by each provider in part. And we see that the forestry undertaking of Belts, Jedinets, and Tigina having the highest one. As regards the distribution of forest plantations by beneficiaries, also in the north of the country, in Biliceni Noi, about 56.6 hectares were allocated for afforestation, and in Grimanka Woods, Gura Kamenci, Kashba, and other local communities where the forests have been developed. And further on, I would like to introduce the grass cover, also in large scales, in the apple orchards, and the economic operators which have submitted their applications, and they have created grass cover of 10 hectares each. And the distribution of grants for developing forests and for forests and for the forestry undertaking Tigina, over 3 million lei were allocated to plant the forests. Also impressive amounts have been allocated to the forestry undertaken Glodeni, Jedinets, Comrat, Belts, and others. as well as within the framework of privately owned undertakings, these forests have been developed. So, with regard to the grass cover, the costs of the grants have been established depending on the costs. It varied between 100,000 and up to 50,000, 30,000 for this surface. Also, there have been grants allocated and 2 visits, 5 days each, one in Romania. So there were 15 people who went to Romania who worked in the area of forestry. 15 people for 5 days to France, also the forestry. And then we had 10 workshops, 80 hours in total, with the participation of 257 persons also working in this area. These workshops were very interesting, and the participants have been impressed, and they have heard new things about the topic was the adaptation of the forests of the Republic of Moldova to climate change. Actually, the purpose and the goals that have been set forth by IFAD PIU have been achieved, and thanks to these areas, which would have large-scale impact. And we know that the forests keep the water, improve the quality of the soil, and not lastly, I would like to say that agriculture cannot develop without having the correlation with the forestry. And this would also influence the forest, the area of the forest, but also to develop the forest, to plant a forest, that requires a lot of effort, a lot of work, and this is why these grants were really welcome, and I hope that they are not the last either. Thank you for your attention. For implementing the measures of adaptation and in the conditions of severe climate with high temperatures throughout the summer, with ununiform distribution of precipitation, farmers look for production means, and the disturbance of the soil are the key strategic elements that are promoted by IFAD within the framework of the conservative agriculture programs. Therefore, to support the small farmers who would like to develop this area, the IFAD has provided a package of grants designated for conservative agriculture, and given that these investments are quite costly and small farmers cannot always afford them, but with the support of IFAD for purchasing equipment for more efficient irrigation, weather stations, fertilizing systems, sowing no-till and mini-till machines, incorporating seeds without disturbing the soil with accumulation of vegetables, remains, shredders for vegetable remains that allow you to manage farm waste, the accumulation of rainwater, systems for creating green energy, and others have been the products which, during the implementation of IFAD VII, have been implemented and submitted to the beneficiaries. So throughout this period of time, within the framework of the IFAD VII sub-measure number 2, over 270 grants have been processed and submitted to the total number of 270 beneficiaries. So the value of the grants was 1.23 million US dollars. If you look at the diagram, this has been the shredders of agricultural waste, and it was lack of the manpower and the awareness of the need to spare the burning of the vegetable waste, and that also influences the large fields of crops. And that also had weather stations, water collection systems, the sowing machines. The farmers are aware of the importance of applying conservative technologies, and they were very receptive, and together with the consultants and the experts, we had cooperation with the grant beneficiaries, and we have these beautiful results, and a subsequent benefit for the economy and Moldovan society. Dear guests, we know that in order to grow a forest, it takes survey in the field and to make a projection or a design of the works that are to be implemented. And we invited Mr. Florenzo, which is the main design institution in the forestry area, to share with us his opinion about the designing in the climate change period and the cooperation during IFAD project. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As a representative of the CAS team that was responsible for implementing the projects, I would like to highlight several aspects. The importance of forests is very well known by everybody. However, it is seen differently by different people from different angles. Some see forest as a source of firewood, others see forest as a leisure area or an area for spending leisure time. Of course, the percentage of afforestation in Moldova cannot cope with all the climate changes that are already felt and have been already felt, and they have been referred to a bit earlier. For the southern area, it is already a huge problem, and I would like to mention that a forest, to make a forest, to keep a forest in good condition and good functioning, it is necessary to design it and then to implement the project and then to perform a series of maintenance works to keep the forest in time and space. And ICAS, within the framework of the IFAD VII and even in the 6th program, was the partner that implemented afforestation projects and rehabilitation of forests, existing forests. An important aspect which had been ensured by IFAD was that the team of engineers that dealt with designing and the engineers that implemented the projects benefited from training. The training was very useful and very good, and the trainings were done abroad, and thus we've learned the experiences of the colleagues from Romania, from France, and of course these would be implemented within the framework of the program for extending and rehabilitating forest for 2023-2032. It is an ambitious program of the president of the country. And it is necessary to continue our cooperation.
Thank you very much. We will now hear the opinion of a beneficiary, where we have set up about 10 hectares of forest. We will hear the mayor of the Salka village in Ognitsa. Distinguished audience, director, deputy minister, I'm very grateful that I could benefit from such a project. 7th edition of IFAD. I had 10 hectares of land affected by landslides. There were horrible ravines there. Nobody used that land. And when I submitted the funding request, there were representatives of IFAD who agreed to accept our project. And this autumn, I have seen beautiful trees that were green. I didn't expect them to be there. And it's wonderful what we see there. It's good that we have the contract with the Jedinets forestry unit. Environment is important. We all need clean air. And we're going to have a good protected area, which will be useful for the economy. There will be some wood available for the elderly. We must take care of the plantation. And we will involve all those who live in the village to take care of this place. I would like to thank the team that was so patient and guided us. We managed to achieve a wonderful thing, and I would like to thank them for the roads as well. And Mr. Chervatyuk was very much involved with us. It is a wonderful team, so do not be afraid. They will always help you. And hopefully, we will not have a 50% approach only. There's a lot of work to do in this field and in our community. And thank you very much for having reached the north of the country to do beautiful things. Thank you, Mayor. Now we will listen.
Care a fost inițiativa sau curiozitatea și a înființat un veliș de ierburi și o plantație forestierie. Doamna Tatiana de la Plaiul Bârlădean.
Onorată asistență, onorați invitați, astăzi noi facem cu
totalurile la IFAD 7. În spatele la aceste cifre stau oameni reali, stă toată echipa IFAD-ului care când și le suni îți răspund tot timpul la telefon, îți lămuresc toate întrebările pe care noi ne interesează. Am făcut o pădure frumoasă de 10 hectare, după proiectul care ne l-au făcut specialiștii de la IFAD, fără plată. Am sădit acolo copaci toți recomendați, de la pipinierele din Soroca, din Telenești, foarte buni copaci și o parte de la Iedineț, cu aronii, cu salcân, cu stejar roșu, cu zarzări, cu tei, o pădure frumoasă care noi am prășit-o, lucrătorii mei, am irigat-o și e o pădure foarte frumoasă. Salcânul are de acum vreo 4 metri. Și mă mândresc cu ea. Acum vânătorii din teritorii au dat drumul la fazane acolo, sunt o mulțime și avem și o familie de căprioare și se mândresc locuitorii satului cu această pădure frumoasă. Chiar și colectează aronii de acolo, colectează fructe de zarzări și mulțumesc foarte mult la specialiștii de la IFAD că ne-au îndrumat și am făcut așa pădure frumoasă. Pentru că în teritorii la noi, la Bărlădeni, sunt 711 hectare de pășuni și vaci avem undeva la 40 în 3 sate, așa că trebuie împădurite și trebuie mers mai departe cu inițiativa președintelui țării de a sădi mai multe păduri, pentru că pădurea asta e și apa, și ecologia, și multe lemnul care trebuiește pentru foc. Noi nu avem alte surse nu avem cărbuni, nu avem petrol. În afară de asta, noi cu proiectul din partea proiectului am sădit 20 de hectare de ierburi, am plantat, am sămănat, adică 10 și 10, că se dă voie numai 10 într-un an, în IFAD 6 și în IFAD 7, 10 hectare. Noi am plantat această iarbă cu semințe de la agrodor, care conțin trifoi și anume o componență specială de ierburi care să păstreze umiditatea. Cine dă nouă asta? În primul rând, cum s-a spus, eroziunea solului. Nu se duce pământul dacă e sub pantă la vale, păstrăm cumulusul, pentru că Moldova noastră, cel mai mare bogăție o are pământul. Și pământul nostru, după calități, e cel mai bun din lume, vreau să vă spun. Și noi trebuie să-l păstrăm. Și dacă plouă și noi avem făcut niște lucrări în livadă, noi deodată putem să ieșim, pentru că e iarbă și putem să ieșim și să facem stropiri, ori alte lucrări care nouă ne trebuiesc. Tot la noi în primărie, prin IFAD, vreo 7 gospodării țărănești care au pomușoară, au fructe, au beneficiat de tocătoare. Da, și le folosesc și la câmp tot. Noi tot avem tocătoare, avem combini.
So we have combined machines which shred the waste, and we spread it on the fields.
And we have to make sure that we do not burn things that must not burn. We have to preserve the environment. And we must also participate in the water supply programs. In the north of the Republic, almost all lakes have dried. It is very far to bring water from Dnistru or Prut. We are raising this issue with the Ministry of Agriculture. We build reservoirs, we want to clean the lakes, but me, as a large economic entity, I have to bring together smaller economic entities and build an association because it's difficult to cooperate. And without cooperation, there will be no agriculture. There will be plenty of European funds that will just not be assimilated. Whether we like it or not, this is what we need to do. And the IFAD experts are helping us. Yelena visited Ognitsa and the area. She explained to us what projects are available. Mr. Shurelu, I believe that it would be a very good idea to bring them to our district. And thank you for the cooperation with the IFAD team. Hopefully, the donors will be giving us money for irrigation for the sources of water. And water is expensive and not quite available. Thank you, Tatiana. And as a conclusion to the component where I was the coordinator, I'd like to tell you that the most efficient way to reduce the unfavorable impact, we need to consider working on the land which is not favorable to agriculture. We want to expand agriculture, but expand it not into the defavor of the forest fund. And as we were saying, there is no agriculture without water, and there is no civilization without forests. So we have to work on this. Thank you. In the process of putting together the documents, the agricultural workers, the farmers, must also cooperate with the distributors of equipment. This is a very interesting experience, and we will kindly ask Nicolae to speak about the attitude to the equipment and implementation of conservative agriculture. Mr. Kerdivara, please. Hello, everyone. Well, I'm very sorry for being a bit incoherent. It is quite stressful for me to speak in front of lots of people. But I had to come and join you because I must appreciate the changes, qualitative changes that have occurred in Moldova in agriculture, and not just in agriculture. I must bring up the interaction with IFAD at earlier stages. I am the co-founder of the biggest plantation of So we applied to the project in 2015. And we had different ideas about what the project should do, besides planting fruit trees. And particularly the chokeberry. We were thinking about not losing the value in time. And here's what we have noticed. Yes, the new technologies are very expensive. And the icebreakers who need to test this and make good use of the know-how are not quite numerous. And the financial burden is quite significant. What we have noticed is that the mechanism of applying to the project, the mechanism of distributing the money, was simplified to the maximum. The institution went through qualitative, consistent transformations. And I couldn't help but express gratitude for the fact that there are organizations of people, companies, And people should think about having correct attitude. We need to have at least a similar attitude to the direct consumer, the consultancy services. There is no such thing as saying, oh, look at the webpage, or call me during office hours. The attitude of the IFAD team is quite constructive, and it is an attitude which allows all those who interact get the support. This is important, particularly if you want to accomplish an investment and you're not sure if you can afford that. You're not sure whether it's a mistake or not. You have to find people who do understand you, who do understand that this is important, and if you look into the, for example, the thing of the trees, you plant trees today and you ensure oxygen for the future. So think about this. Think about generating added value. Because lots of money came into our area. And there was a lot of impact at social level, at economic level. And what was the thing that I was trying to tell you? It's good that we have a very good team that is capable of implementing interesting things. Mr. Valeriu has said that we have a very good chance of making this country not the poorest country of Europe, but an example to follow. So if all those who are involved will have such an attitude, our society will develop, and it will develop very quickly. I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to interact with this team, and hopefully in the nearest future we will get good results, because cooperation with the society is mandatory in case of what we do. Thank you. According to the procedure, after we receive the request, for renewable energy or irrigation, we visit the beneficiary for the feasibility study, and then look into ways to make the case in truly resilient. And we had the case of Rodica Chalat. We went to their place, and we will kindly ask Rodica to share. Yes, indeed. The company that I'm running now is processing plums and cherries for the confectionery in Moldova. We are no longer a startup. We began in 2018 with 400 glass jars, And in 2023, we produced almost 70,000 jars.
Dar ceea ce vreau să zic anume despre proiectul Ucigem
I would
FAD este
like
faptul că
to tell you
lucrurile
that
s-au întâmplat într-adevăr așa. După ce am
indeed,
depus formularul, am avut o
after
vizită
we have
din
filed the
partea
form,
domnului Dumitru împreună cu un domn
we
inginer
have
care
been
a făcut o
visited
expertiză
by an
tehnică la ceea ce
engineer,
propuneam să facem.
and there was a technical assessment of what we wanted to do. And this was quite beneficial because we have implemented a system of bringing together the water. We imagine things in one way, but when the expert comes in and tells you, here's what you need to do to make the system functional, this is the best thing you should do. And I wish that this experience of doing things would be applied in other projects. I do remember the experience from the very beginning. We began as a family business. And we were trying to do our best. Once the business developed, we are already a mature company. And those who brought us here can no longer carry us to the next stage. So we need to involve specialists, and there are costs. We need to cover these costs. And this has been brought up today in different situations. We have experienced a lot. We did apply a few months ago. The project is already about to end. And we tried to involve specialists who did have experience. And it's good that we had some quality projects that could meet the requirements of the EU. Once again, thank you very much for the contribution. The communication was very efficient. As it has already been mentioned, the calls were always picked up and they were picked up in due time. Sometimes in investments, even a day is a lot. And if you do not manage to do what you need to do in due time, then you have to wait for another year to see the yield of the investment. So it is important to see this unity, this engagement. This has to be done in excellent terms. And I would like to mention how important it is to develop this area in our country. I do remember the time when we just started. I said to my family that I want to develop a business that would produce cherries for bakery, for confectionery, and we said, yes, we can do that. That is why it is important to support initiatives in this sense. We can do good things, and we can do them even better. So let's do our best. Thank you. distinguished audience, these were our modest and brief presentations related to our achievements in the context of climate resilience. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, distinguished guests and audience. I was thinking about ways to present the next compartment. Once you get involved in a business, you need to do things that are demanded, like bread, the kind of bread that people want. So the bread, the produce that we propose are inspired by the discussions that we have with the producers, and it is no exaggeration. You have seen the speed at which the projects are being implemented. Ministry of Agriculture has appointed Mr. Adrian Digolanu. He dedicated a lot of time to be with us and to promote the things that we do. And at the entrance to this room, you have seen 2 books dedicated to the agricultural industry. But there is another product which hopefully will be appreciated by the agriculture, because the ideas that we have taken from you, things that are on paper and are part of the very clear product, will bring you closer to the funders and donors who are in the Republic of Moldova. Inga, you have the floor. Distinguished participants and the ones who follow us online, I am honored to be here to introduce the way IFAD supports continuity and sustainability of IFAD programs here in the Republic of Moldova. But before that, I would like to express deep gratitude for all farmers in Moldova. Agriculture is not just about crops and yields, it's about people. And these people persevere despite the challenges. They fight and they choose to develop a business here at home. And the Consolidated Unit for Program Implementation, IFAD, develops funding programs for farmers for more than 20 years. Inspired by people, by difficulties faced in finding and choosing funding sources for business and agriculture, we developed, with the support of Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, a digital instrument. This digital instrument will facilitate access to funding for the farmers. So we are happy to introduce the platform Find Funding and Calculate the Cost of Your Investment. Now the farmers can do this very simply, non-stop, with just one click. And they can access funding from projects that are funded from abroad. And they can do this in an optimum manner for their business in agriculture.
And through the platform, entrepreneurs can identify funding options by gender, age, area of activity, type of funding, and implementers, thus contributing to the development of tailor-made funding opportunities for every entrepreneur in the agricultural sector to develop prosperous and sustainable businesses. The platform not only enhances access to the financial resources needed for developing agricultural businesses, but also reduces the time and the necessary resources for identifying the best solution to find the best option for investment and to facilitate the investment decision. The platform to calculate the cost of investment given the individual need of every entrepreneur as well as the specific terms of implementing the externally funded project. Thus, every farmer would be able to estimate the value of the investment, the value of the grant, tax incentives and subsidies provided by the state, and in the end to be able to calculate the real cost as a result of the state program. This platform is not only a digital instrument, it is the outcome of the efforts of the national and international programs for facilitating agriculture in Moldova. It is a proof of cooperation, our commitment in promoting agriculture and in providing support to agriculture. Please support the initiative. Go online, get registered, and explore the functions of the platform and distribute the platform to anyone who is looking for funding for their business. Agriculture is more than a product, it's about people, communities, and passion. Let us work together for a better future for the agriculture of Moldova. Further on, I would like to offer the floor to Mr. Adrian Digolan, State Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, and the Director of IFAD Programs, for handing over the platform as a commitment to keep the platform and for continuing IFAD programs in Moldova. Mr. Ușurialu, thank you very much for this productive and high-quality event, and thank you again to IFAD Project for this cooperation. I'm sure that we will have a fruitful cooperation in the context of the signing and handing over of this instrument. I would like to congratulate you, and I would like to say that within the framework of the ministry we have created a new service. We have the service of digitalization, automation, agriculture, and today when we talk about digitalization, we speak about the management of documents and in the books and the connection with the satellite or the eventual, pocket agronomist. The next step would be to create an app of this instrument where every farmer would have in their pocket and would be able to calculate it. First of all, it is about for taking best decision for investment in agriculture. And this platform brings together good information from all the programs which provide services, credits, equipment, and so on. Congratulations and success to everyone. And I hope that this instrument would be, when you need funding and when you need support for developing your business, you know the platform. So gradually we are approaching the end of this conference, and I hope it was not very tiring for you, and I hope we had the possibility to talk to you about the products and in real faces, not just figures. But as I was saying, although IFAD VII is almost at the end, it is soon going to be history. However, it's not the same for the people, the businesses, the rural agricultural businesses that will be developed within the framework of new programs. And one of the programs is the IFAD VIII program for the period of implementation of 2021 through 2027. And largely speaking, the and I would like to say that this IFAD VII project will be continued, and as a result of the fact that the strategy for agriculture is continuously changing, and the market is continuously changing, and these cannot be neglected, and this has to go hand in hand with the demands of the time. And this is also about the possibility given to the farmers to get grants for developing the irrigation infrastructure. And these are the three large blocks: cleaning the water accumulation, lakes, and respectively the component, the third component, and the grants for establishing the demonstration plots. And that means that we have understood from the discussions, and we believe it is very important, that irrigation should not be seen as just pouring water to the roots of the plant. It is a much more important process where the optimal irrigation share has to be respected, and it is not just a simple irrigation. It is the irrigation where every component of the irrigation system is way too important, and this is why we come up with the irrigation equipment grants. The grants are up to 7,500 grant, and the contribution from the farmers should be minimum 30%. And within IFAD VIII, we would find the financial support, and these are the same as the credits offered within IFAD VIII. The credit with grants provided to women and to youth. As I was saying, IFAD VIII is a program dedicated mainly to women and youth developing businesses in the rural area being also connected to other additional financial resources. Women and youth are considered to be a stable future for the development of the Republic of Moldova. Within the framework of IFAD VIII, you will find credits with grant components for the farmers, and it is way too important to see the processing activities or we have faced in the last 20 years, with the fact that we have invested so much in the production system without understanding that we would be able to produce, to grow. We would learn to grow, how to grow, but the markets do not require the raw material for a stable income. The market wants homogeneous products and products that have been through an important technology, that have been cooled, pre-cooled, the sorting lines, the equipment that would be compliant with the demands of the market. We need to understand that the yield has to be sorted, and the products that do not comply with the requirement standards have to be processed differently, or all of this would lead to stability on the market. This is why we come up with credits for processing facilities. And as I was saying, the investment credit for circulating capital, and we have investments for SMEs, and all of these together would be found in this financial package and in the products which we are currently developing. And I cannot overlook the fact that within the framework of IFAD VIII program, we have several services providers dedicated to the agricultural sector that would contribute through technical assistance to the development of the business. This is about business plans and development of the business. The second segment, irrigation segment, is for those who want to launch the irrigation infrastructure and those who would want to develop to develop this. They would benefit for free service, and well, there are many more things that I would like to share with you. This is why we would try to be with you through our numerous meetings, and do invite us, and we would come to each of your farms. We would bring the best experts along, but still you need to know that we have worked and will continue to work for you, for every farmer. The farmers who work day and night and know the segment very well, we would not have a development, because only together we could have a great country. And just like the colleagues have said, being firmly convinced that it depends on us whether we would be treated as a poor country or we would continue to go on a path and will be the country with a development to surprise the world, to be the success story that I am very grateful for you for your presence here. And not lastly, before saying the last word, I would like to invite the entire team, because besides the besides the team that was here, we also have the team which is behind the stage. They are not visible every day, but without them we cannot proceed. So Elena, Svetlana, please come up the stage. I think you deserve all the applause. So here we also we have the equipment, the procurement, the finance department, monitoring and evaluation of businesses, which all together have contributed with their part. And maybe this is not so visible, but I think it's way too pleasant to understand that the small drop that we have contributed would make this tree of well-being would be more developed, much more developed. Thank you very much for your assistance. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for working for us, and we promise that we'll work for you with all respect.